who I am right now, this confident, calm, awakened woman, only came through divorce, remarriage, blended family, new family problems, breast cancer, mother's death, children, teenagers through the pandemic, mental health with children. So stop playing small in what you're here to do, because life's too damn short and precious to not go after the things that your soul's calling you to do.
Welcome to the Energy Upgrade Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Grutman. And if you are a high-achieving woman, a successful entrepreneur, an inspiring entrepreneur, or just a woman with kick-ass big dreams, you're in the right place. If you value your energy, your health, if you want to be a biohacker, tap into longevity, if you want to raise the impact you have in this lifetime, you're going to have a lot of fun around here. As a second-time seven-figure business creator, certified health practitioner, and soul biohacker, I'm here to reconnect you to your energy, to the soul of your business, and to your superpowers. Let's go. Welcome home. Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade Podcast. This is your host, Vanessa Grutman, and today I am so pleased to have the incredible Carol Elizabeth with us. And oh my gosh, buckle up. This woman, her story is going to blow your mind. And she is turning 55. Did you say in a month?
A month, almost a month exactly.
Okay, so she is turning 55. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be blown away because she looks like she's 25. But interestingly, just before I hit record, she was saying, I feel like I'm 25. I am coming alive again. And I'm so excited. This is going to be the episode for you if you feel like you need that extra motivation, you need that extra push, that reminder that now is the time and it's never too late to jump on any of your dreams, any of the adventures that your heart is desiring. So Carol, thank you so much for being here. Let's ignite the audience. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, even just the title, right? Energy Upgrade. It's just like made for me to be here. My heart is beating fast because I know that there's going to be some power happening between us here and out into everyone that's listening. So thanks for having me.
Carol, so you're joining us from Ontario, Canada. You are currently in the midst of downsizing. You have grown-up kids that have now left the nest, and you are ready to kind of move to the city, go back into the energy of creation. That's really what I'm picking up from your aura. You're like, let's go and maybe live part-time in Mexico and just living the life. But obviously, it hasn't always been like this. Right? You've had quite the adventure over the last 15 years. And I'd love if you could bring the audience up to date with everything that happened to you, because again, what a story of resilience. So tell us more.
Yeah, sit back, put your feet up, grab a tea. I was saying to Vanessa, I can catch us up in 15, for 15 years in a pretty relatively short amount of time. And so I will start with a backstory of not knowing that I knew what manifestation was. When I look back on my journals, and I was moved to Toronto at 26. I'm from the center of Canada. I moved to Toronto after failing at my first round at university and always just doing like the bare minimum in life, to like bare minimum of that job and bare minimum of that job and bare minimum at school. I just was kind of like that girl. But after looking back at journals, I realized that I really wanted to be a mother. And at 27 years old, I have a journal that says, school's going great. I'm still single though. How am I ever going to have a family? I'm already 27 and I don't have a boyfriend. And then magically, a few weeks later, I met a guy who would be my husband, who would be my kid's dad. And then I had kid number 1, kid number 2, kid number 3, like all that's the way I kind of work, and was blessed to be a stay-at-home mom for 11 years. And then as I was kind of almost feeling a little bit sad that I wasn't fully fulfilled in motherhood. I loved being these kids' mom, and I loved being there for drop off and all of the things. But there was a calling that I had that I didn't know any of that. I didn't know about soul connection. I knew none of that. I knew like chicken nuggets and grilled cheese sandwiches. Like, that's what I knew. And so I had kind of lost myself in motherhood and started to feel a little bit, sad. And I'm a pretty positive person. And I thought that sadness came from losing my body. I thought that sadness came from when I looked in the mirror and I saw the squishy tummy, or I tried to put on a bikini and I wouldn't feel great. And at that time, magazines literally got sent to your house every month. And I had a subscription for a magazine called Oxygen Magazine, and my kids were all 3 and 3 years. So there was a time when they all napped. And I would religiously every day get my tea and my sleeve of cookies and grab the fitness magazine and sit on the couch and read the magazine and look at all these fit girls that were smiling and saying they're happy because they're fit. And then my brain told me, well, they're young and they don't have children, and they're Photoshopped. They're not like real humans. So, as I continue to dunk the Oreo in the tea, go on about my day. And then as life would have it, I thought, you know what? I think I need to work out. I need to work out to lose some weight. And so I joined a group of women and I started working out. And through working out, I was feeling better, but I wasn't changing my body. So I was still like, oh, I need to change my body. And then I learned I had to change my food. So then I started changing what I was eating, and I started to lose body fat and started seeing some muscles. And somebody said, you should do a fitness show. And I was like, no, I can't do gymnastics. And they're like, no, it's not that. You just strut around in a bikini. And I was like, okay. So at 39 years old, I strutted across the stage of my first bikini competition. And I looking back, there's so many pivotal learning moments in this story. Number one, I was so proud of myself. I was not there to compete. I was not there to win. I didn't know anything about it. It's a wild little world. It really was the first time in my life I had ever accomplished something for myself. And the other massive factor was that when you started, you got to fill out some paperwork about what's your name, what's your age, what do you do, right? And there was like literally three papers, like where have you been featured, like all this jazz. So I'm filling out the forms and I'm like, Carol Elizabeth, 39, I'm a mother, my kids are this, this, this. And then I had nothing else to put on the paper. And I remember thinking, who am I if I'm not a mother? And like, while my kids are small right now, they were like 3, 4, and 6. I know enough to know that one day they're going to be old. And like, so subconsciously I was like, who am I? What am I going to do? Like, So then I spent time in the fitness world and rocked more shows and really loved it, and started I built an online fitness group before that was even a thing, when all we had was Facebook. And I started doing that kind of thing. My kids always like to remind me, Mom, you would have been such an influencer if TikTok was around right now. And I was like, it's all right. I'm doing all right. But then at the age of 41, I went through a divorce. And so that was one of the big transformations. But what I want to just go back and highlight something. Before, when I thought that women in the fitness magazine were happy because they were fit, I need you to hear this loud and clear. That is not what brings happiness. My body changed and I got featured in the magazine I used to read, but I was not happy. My soul was not connected. It didn't change anything in my life. It just almost highlighted the other ways I used to band-aid with food and alcohol and other things. And so it's just an important part of my transformation to highlight that we think that happiness is found in the bank account or the body or the house or the whatever. And it isn't. I know Vanessa talks about that all the time. It's the inner work. And so in my 40s, here I was. I had never worked for a long time. And I'm off on my own now, supporting my kids. And so I got a job. I got a job at Lululemon because I was wearing Lululemon. So why wouldn't I? My background in school that I finally finished was fashion marketing. So I'm like, cool. I'll do that. I'll get to the top. I'll work at head office at Lululemon. That'll be like so cool. So here I am, 41 years old, folding Lululemons for all these like rich, snobby bitches that I used to be, saying like, okay, this is, what am I doing? There's more to me than this. And yet this person's telling me you're worth this much money and you must work this day and you Christmas this, and, oh, your kid's sick, get a sitter. And I was like, okay, no. I did not work my life to have my family, to not see them. And that was when I was introduced to network marketing, and that changed the direction of my world. And really from that, fast forward to become somebody that has for 15 years created multiple seven figures, multiple businesses, speaker, author, coach. Like I really create, like you said, I create wealth by creating things. Like I embrace change. And so who I am right now, this confident, calm, awakened woman, only came through divorce, remarriage, blended family, new family problems, breast cancer, mother's death, children, teenagers through the pandemic, mental health with children leaving the home and going off on their own. And so I am so passionate about this concept of awakening and redefining, and it's never too late because I live it, and I only speak from what I live. And that's where my passion comes from. So there's a little story.
Oh my goodness. And okay, so you kind of just named a few things and dropped in the middle of it breast cancer.
If you've been feeling foggy, sluggish, or just off, your body is trying to tell you something. Your liver is your body's natural detox system, but when it's overloaded with toxins, stress, and inflammation, it slows everything down. And that means low energy, brain fog, poor digestion, and even blocked creativity. The 7-day liver detox is my favorite reset, and it has to become yours as well. In just 1 week, you'll clear toxins, restore your energy, and get back into full body alignment so you can feel light, clear, and unstoppable. This isn't just a detox, it's about reclaiming your power. If you're ready to get back into your body and ignite your energy, you can DM me the word detox on Instagram or follow the link in the show notes to access the 7-day liver detox today. Now, this also comes with my online mini course where every day I give you advice to amplify this detox experience. I hope to see you there.
And I want to go back to this piece, not because I want to go back to it because most people who receive a diagnostic like this, that is their label for life. It becomes their definition. It becomes their story. They see life through that lens, everything. And I just so love that you don't. For you, it was just one of the things, equal to the divorce. And so I want to hear about this. I want to hear about your experience. And obviously, clearly, you are thriving today, but because cancer is more and more prominent, we know that by 2030, it'll be maybe 1 in 3. And it's so important that we realize that we actually have way more control than we think. And I think you are the perfect, alive, confirmation of that. So yeah, walk us through that journey.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of what I know about like energy and the thoughts we think. For a long time, I wouldn't even say the word, to be honest. I wouldn't even write the word. And I always said it was not even a chapter in a book. It was it's like, maybe 3 lines kind of thing.
Wow.
But I do understand the power of the story. So I do share it. And so there's so many beautiful lessons is one of my favorite words, blessing lessons. And I also always say that the things, I like to talk a lot about magic. So I say your mess becomes your magic. And I think you and I both know any of the person that we look up to or admire or that are so inspirational. Like, I don't know what happens in women's brains specifically that we think like, oh, I can't tell my hardships because I don't know what people will think of me. But there's not a person whose book you've read or speaker you've seen or singer or anybody that doesn't have a story, And so I used to, which is why the other thing I know about life and energetics and what you think about, because I go to all these personal development, when I started my journey of this will all come together. I promise you. When I started my journey of fitness, I was watching videos about like fitness girls, but over top of those videos, there was Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Eric Tom, like all this mindset. So this is I always say I didn't know that my quest for a great ass would open me up to personal development, but that's exactly what happened. And so you just can't decide how life's going to come at you. So I had started to learn about the power of mind, and inside of network marketing, it is a personal development program with a compensation plan. So I had learned and been mentored about mindset and thoughts. And so I remember I was 49 and I had literally made a list of like, one of those like fun things to do, 50 things to do before I'm 50. And I'm going to go dance more. I'm going to go to Burning Man. I'm going to take pole dancing classes. I'm going to do hip hop class. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do whatever. I don't know, Howl Under the Moon, whatever list I had. Right. And then May 9th, I went for a mammogram and was called back in and then called back in. And then I'll never forget. And this is why I know the power of words so much, because I was getting an ultrasound and the woman was doing some stuff. And then she's like, can I touch it? And I just remember like freezing and like thinking, what do you mean? What's it? What isn't it? What is it? And so then I was called back like that night to my doctor's office, and all I heard was this calcification, surgery fast. And I just was like, what? And I remember like that it was May 9th. So May's spring in Canada, super rainy. And she's like, we won't know. We need to do a biopsy, but looks like cancer. And I just was like, what's happening? And I used to say when I would go to these events and try to visualize, like I was like, I don't have enough trauma. Like, we have some beautiful souls we know and that have been through insane trauma. And I used to think I didn't have enough trauma to be a motivational speaker. I didn't have enough trauma to be somebody that has gone from this to that. We have trauma envy sometimes, like, I don't have enough trauma to be considered that. And so when that happened, I was like, oh shit, like
you manifested this.
I manifested this. Like, whoa. So then I went super dark and I would just be like in a daze. And it was right before my daughter turned 16. My eldest was graduating high school. Mother's Day was 4 days away. My youngest was graduating grade 8. And I just was like, instantly thought I was going to be dead in 2 days. I could not get a positive thought in my brain at all. I was mad at the old people at Walmart. I was mad at the people that were older than me because I was like, that's not fair. I'm not going to get to that age. I'm not going to be at this. I'm not going to be at that. And like, it was obviously I didn't tell my kids right away. So helping my son put his suit on for his freaking grad, like, oh my God, I like went upstairs and lost it. And my kids, we write each other letters at birthdays and special things. And so on Mother's Day, my son wrote me a letter that literally said, although we don't know how long we have on this earth. And I just was like, I cried like a mother cry. And then I ran upstairs and just lost it. And then I said to myself, okay, this feeling that I have, because I had a hard time having empathy for people that had negative thoughts. And I don't know if I had toxic positivity. My dad was really positive. So I grew up for sure more in a positive world. But at that moment, I was like, oh my God, like this is what heavy thoughts feel like. It doesn't matter if it's cancer or there's not enough money in the bank or I'm not good enough or whatever thought you're carrying. And so I told myself, maybe I needed to go through this to actually have empathy for what that feels like for people. And then I tapped into everything I knew about mindset, and I knew that the weight of words had power. So I was not going to say F cancer. I was not going to say I'm in a battle. I was not going to say I was in a fight. And I did everything that I knew in my power to do to harness into the most beautiful outcome, which was look for proof. Because when it first happened, all I saw was every single person in my world on social media was celebrating their beautiful mothers who had passed to the disease. That's all I saw. And all I saw was women with no hair and that's all I knew. And then I just started reaching like to the darkness for proof of otherwise, show me a woman that's had cancer that's rocking. And then I just saw more and more and more and more. And so I was just like, that is my story. That will be my story. I don't know if I'm going to lose my hair. If I am, I'm going to look fucking epic. I don't know if there's no point in me worrying about that. Let me take it one step at a time. One of the most profound moments of that was that in the kind of month that you go between a biopsy till you kind of know what's happening. It's just a really fun space. I just started like, I meditated. I heard meditate and ask why it's here. So I meditated and I asked why it was here. And I heard to find more joy. Now, I had already become a super successful entrepreneur. My kids were happy. I had abundance. I had money. I was happy. So I was like, I'm happy. I don't understand. And then I realized there's a difference between happiness and joy. Because at that season of my life, I was pushing, I was striving, I was recognition, I was validation. I was do this. I don't need this. Like work, all the stuff. Look at me. And I was missing the kitty giggles. I was missing the sunrises. I was missing staring at the plants and just like going like, look at that cool leaf. Like I was missing the little things that bring my soul joy. And back in the day, I had the huge house that I bought myself because I thought you needed the big house with the mudroom and the theater room and all the freaking bathrooms and all the stuff. And I was standing in front of my hall of my mudroom with a huge wall calendar. And all my entrepreneurs and mothers, you know this, we have the big calendar. We've got this launch and that plan and this, that, and all the days were crossed off. And then all the other things were here. I was doing things, look forward to November when I do this and look forward to this when I hit this or whatever the goal. And I stood in front of this calendar and I said, or my voice said, how dare you? You are crossing these frickin' days off like they're nothing. And you're just like all these days ahead of me. And you're not even really finding joy or what I call magic now, like in the frickin' day. And so I said, you will no longer cross off calendar days. And there was an orange Sharpie on my kitchen and I grabbed it. I'm like, I'm going to look for joy in every day, whatever that looks like. And I'm going to circle the days. And for darn well, as long as I'm alive, I'm going to look at a calendar and see more circles and no crossing off like the day was just nothing. And it transformed every aspect of like how I've gone out to do other things. So while it was for sure the scariest time, I would not change it for a second because I became calmer. I became more grounded. I became more empathetic. I started to truly embrace every single frickin' day. And it completely energetically just changed the way I did everything.
And it's completely gone now?
And in my brain, as soon as I had the surgery to remove it, I told myself it was out. And then I had other things, and then I had medicine and stuff for 5 years. And I have to say this, because when it comes to this like worthiness factor, this is the story I started telling again. And women are all like, oh my God, you need to keep saying that. So in this world of like comparison, and I don't like the word imposter syndrome. I don't think it exists. Like if we didn't have social media to know other people were doing awesome things, who would we know? I don't get it. I get why others are, but in this moment when I was in this season with a community of women going through it, because there's something about sisterhood community, right? Of people on a path, and as long as the path energetically matches you. But there was like yoga downtown Toronto for women who had breast cancer. We're having it. We're all the journey. And I remember buying the ticket to go to this yoga class in the summer downtown Toronto, or spring or whatever. And to buy the ticket, for some reason, it asked like what stage cancer you have. And I was very blessed that I had an early stage, but I remember clicking the drop down and for a moment saying, do I have enough cancer to go to this? Because I'm going to show up with hair. And I don't know if I'm going to lose my hair, but I'm going to show up with long hair, and there's going to be women that don't have hair. I'm going to be showing up in this early stage, and there's women with a late stage. Like, how nutty is our brain? This is how our brain works, ladies and gentlemen, that in the world of having cancer, my brain defaulted to, do I have enough to be worthy to go to a freaking yoga class for breast cancer? Wow.
Wow. Yeah, everything you said there is so beautiful and it's so powerful. And I know it's probably going to resonate and hopefully make some of the women listening emotional because, gosh, and I know it's the same for you, like the number of DMs and conversations I have with clients or people that want to become clients, but they think they're not enough or they haven't accomplished enough. And I always say the same thing, like your hardships is your superpower. And if you do it right, your business is actually going to heal you. Because you're going to get to heal yourself as you start reconnecting with that beautiful story of yours, which is your unique point of view.
Yep.
Like we share the same thoughts, but your story and my story are so different and both are so important and powerful. Yep. And there is never going to be too much of these conversations ever, right?
Ever.
I just love, and I love what you said about the power of words. I could not agree more with this. I find that freaking brilliant. In fact, you should do a campaign around that. But it's so true. Like everything around cancer has a very negative energetics around it. It's almost like you've already lost to it. And I love that you've been able to pick that up really early on and be like, no, I'm not going to play on that frequency, because you actually get to pick. You actually get to pick which frequency you want to be in, and you get to make that your reality. So I find that incredible.
Well, and so much so that, I mean, I was blessed to have the foundation of mindset. So I knew that enough. And that's why I speak about it all the time. But I remember, and the story goes for everything. Like we're saying, like, it doesn't matter. Like you said, all of us know a time, and it still happens to you. It still happens to me. Our brain naturally takes us there. But when you're trained, you notice it, you understand, hey, sit down, sister, that's not where we're going. And you go with your higher self. But I used to say, like, there's literally people that have stubbed their toe that are making that mean more in their life than what I'm experiencing, right? Which is all just the choice. And so many of us think we don't have power over not only our own thoughts, but what we allow into our world. And so in that season, people would come up to me and start a story, like, oh, Carol, my aunt. And so I would say, and I want, if any of you need permission, you're getting my permission for whatever it is in life. If somebody starts to give you some information that you didn't ask for, you are allowed to put your hand up and say, excuse me, no, thank you. And so I would literally say, hold on a second, Vanessa. Unless this ends with you telling me that your aunt has super fantastic tits, I don't want to hear it. And then some of them would keep going. And I would say, with all due respect, I'm leaving. And I would walk away because I didn't want that frequency. And so I want to offer this as a suggestion to you guys listening, because we've all done it. We've all done it. We mean well, but that is putting a seed in somebody's mind. Even now, sometimes people will say to me, oh, you had breast cancer? Okay. Yeah. My aunt, or, my mother, she was great for 10 years later. And then it came back. And I was like,
no,
say that.
No,
say that.
So that's also an addiction to the fear frequency, which is the frequency that is so abundant. And yeah, I know that frequency very well. And good for you for being like, yeah, no, don't want to know that story. I'm good. And look at you now, like you went back on stage in the fall.
Yeah, this November. That was a whole other journey, because so after breast cancer, I had kind of stopped the fitness world. I honestly, part of the journey of that too was as I started stepping into speaking more and really getting into like inspirational speaking, and I would get on stage and I would land this like profound, life-changing message. much of it had to do with the cancer story, because it really, when I say it in the way I say it in a room, like gasps happen. And that's why I will do it, to be able to wake people up as it woke me up. But then I would get off the stage and people would really only say, "Oh my God, I love your shoulders." And so then I was like, wait, like subconsciously, then I know I started putting weight on because I wanted to be like heard and not seen. So that I know that I feel like that was a part of the journey. I also kind of got like tired of the like, look at me part, even though I wasn't fully living in that from the fitness side. And so I kind of abandoned that side of me. And then obviously breast cancer, I literally did not care if I had an ab. I could not care if I had cellulite. I mean, I didn't really care anyway, but then I really didn't care. So then that took me on a journey of like instant menopause and obviously stress. And then pandemic happened. And I don't even say pandemic. I usually call it panini, because I won't even give that any weight, like the panini years.
Yeah.
And so then I found myself, looking at loving myself, feeling sexy, wearing funky clothes, but I was still for sure dressing a little different. And I was still for sure like, okay, this is great. I'm alive. I love myself. You are a sexy beast, but let's drop a little weight. And I kept like trying. And then I realized, just honestly, this last January 2024, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If I care about myself, and this body has thrived through cancer, and a key to longevity is protein intake and resistance training, and I know those things, why am I not doing them? And so I switched the whole reason I went to the gym to be squatting 2 grandkids on my back, to be lifting up suitcases to travel around Portugal, and to consume and potentially pay attention to what I was eating instead of just haphazardly, so that I can maintain this muscle, so that I can be a strong, fit, healthy 80, 90, 100-year-old that thrived through cancer. And so I just switched why and stopped looking for changes or needing changes, and quite literally blew my own mind in what I did in a relatively short amount of time. And I always wanted to strut on a stage anyway. That's why I was doing, because that made my inner child happy. I'm a performer in my inner child. Like, I am a creator, a writer, and a like, look at me person as a kid. And that fulfilled that. And this last November, I strutted and was like, hot diggity damn, like, there you are again, doing anything you put your mind to. So stop playing small in what you're here to do, because life's too damn short and precious to not go after the things that your soul's calling you to do. So that brings us kind of to here, just like freaking next level, lock and loaded.
Oh yeah, here we go. And I mean, it's so, I saw also when you shared that on social media, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, girl, it was so powerful and so inspirational. And it blew my mind. So congratulations for that.
Yeah.
If money feels inconsistent, stressful, or just harder than it should be, then your energy is what's out of alignment. You don't make money anymore. We know that this is an endless loop leading to burnout. You attract money. And if your energetic field isn't calibrated for this type of wealth, then no strategy will work the way it should. That's why I created the Money Energy Bundle, the key to unlocking this more feminine way of connecting and being a match for abundance. This is how I've been able to build my business from 0 to 1 million in cash in less than 17 months. Inside this bundle, you'll get 3 exclusive powerful masterclasses on wealth energetics, all the things you need to know and be aware of. But in order for you to also integrate this learning, I'm also including an energy clearing activation to clear any old blocks around money, as well as a wealth meditation to help you rewire your frequency and your money story. But also, all of this bundle is going to be there to help you expand your capacity to not only receive, but hold money. Because believe it or not, money wants to come into your life right now. But are you in a contracted state? Are you allowing it to come in? What I know now is that money flows to women who know how to hold it. You can grab instant access to the Money Energy Bundle for just $111 for a limited time only. You can grab the link in the show notes or DM me on Instagram the word money, and I will send you all the information to get started. I hope to see you in there.
Now, I also want to talk about, because you've hinted on the fact that you had started before all the C words showed up, network marketing.
Yeah.
And I know from your story that that's what gave you a lot of peace of mind through that journey, because you had built the foundation of, wealth that keeps going without you having to be on your phone 24/7.
Yeah.
And I know you are a true believer in network marketing because you have been doing it now for over 2 decades.
Yeah, almost.
That's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you built your wealth.
Yeah.
And I know that now you're in a new chapter. That's how we've met. But talk to me about, if someone was listening to this and felt really opposed to it because of everything they've heard or everything they think you have to do about it.
Yeah.
What would you say? How did this support you when you most needed it?
Yeah, I'll just go through that quick journey of it too, because as I mentioned, that when I got a divorce and got the job at Lululemon, and they're telling me how much money I was worth and when I could see my kids and all of these things. Now, you might be in a career that you absolutely love and getting paid all that you desire and all that awesomeness. And so I think that the number one thing is that, like, are you living the life that you want on your terms and the bank account that you want and all of those things? I wasn't. And so when somebody that I hardly knew popped into my Facebook in 2011 and said, "Hey girl," and said, like, "I know you like to help people. This is what I'm doing." I watched a pretty cheesy video and said, "Well, there's money to be made here," because I had a need. I had a need and a desire. So I didn't really care what other people thought, because my goal was be with my kids and find a way to be a full-time mom making a full-time income. And there was not the opportunities that there are right now, really, right? 15 years ago, there wasn't and so I doubled down on that because my why was so strong. And I did work, and I dropped them off, and I would work while I was still doing the Lululemon job because I matched the income before I said I can always get a shitty job somewhere else. So I bet on me. Okay. And I believed the what if, not the what if it isn't. I believe the what if it is. And all I needed to see was a single mom making money to be home to say, there's my proof. And so I just went for it. And boy, let me tell you, in the fitness world back then, the company I joined, people were making fun of it left, right, and center. And I just publicly said, with all due respect, I don't care if you do this with me. I don't care if you think the product's good or not. I'm not knocking what you choose to do for a profession. So why are you knocking what I choose to do to feed my family? And so part of this journey is really understanding, like, in life, I don't care if it's network marketing or coaching or you want to freaking be a dolphin trainer. Like, don't let the opinions of others, that's what I wanted to do originally, stop you from doing things, because people are going to knock you down when you go to do anything different. And so that first company I left because there was parts of the MLM model that I didn't like, even though I was successful. The product started to not really be aligned with me as I really ventured into more health. And so then I didn't want to be part of it. And then I thought I was done then. And then I found another company because the promise or the creativity was there. I had started to build this fitness brand, which was amazing, but it was all just me. So like I'd have success and like nobody's cheering me on, and I'd hit goals and like nobody's cheering me on, and I'm alone, and that's okay. But when I started to realize that network marketing is this community and this foundation. And so I spent 11 and a half years at my last company, and it allowed me to really like get deep into my soul and learn things about boundaries. And, you learn as you go, but there is no question from the moment I got that diagnosis, and I had a 10-month journey of healing. I had radiation for 6 weeks straight every day. I would drive for 40 minutes for a 1 minute, on the radiation, and 60 minutes back every day. And I didn't for a second, as a woman who owned a house, had 3 bigger kids, all sorts of things, not for even a half a millisecond, for a second, nothing, what's smaller than that second, think about how a bill was going to be paid. And it wasn't until after that I recognized how little stress that I had because of that. And I would be at the hospital and the radiation machines would be breaking down. And there would be people pacing, waiting for their treatment because they had to get back to work. And I thought to myself, I can't even imagine what it would take from a mindset perspective to be in this situation and still have to go to work. And so I was already a fan of the industry, but I became louder about it from that residual income aspect that most people don't understand, and why MLMs and just selling a product and all that jazz, they're all great, but there's real ways to do it. And I've always been a proponent to say, you don't know network marketing my way if you think it's cheesy. Because much like you, Vanessa, like I've built a brand, I build other things. I don't become the company. I never have. And so I had a beautiful last season with my last company, but when things aren't aligned, I move in anything, in marriages, in houses. Like I'm an entrepreneur. If it doesn't feel good, and now especially, like I am out.
Yeah.
And I also know enough to know, though, that I still believe it is the greatest opportunity to create abundance and wealth as a community and collective. And I know enough to know that while the industry is changing, it is still the most powerful way to get a product into the hand of the consumer. Word of mouth is how you and I build every other thing. And what I am so excited about this connection we have right now is that it is literally this technology and timing and opportunity to celebrate people's uniqueness instead of having like these ranks and stars and a lot of the ego that happens.
Yeah.
And our personal world is filled with these beautiful humans of all walks of life that are here to serve at a time when I know enough about the industry, because I've been blessed both 2 other times to be involved at the momentum phase. And that's an energy that I just will not be a part of. So I'm always saying, if you're intrigued enough, investigate. There's always going to be people that knock it down. There was people that knocked me down for doing fitness shows. There's people that knocked me down for moving. There's people that knocked me down for divorce. There's people that said I shouldn't do radiation. There's always going to be people. And the greatest advice I ever got was, if you want to trade positions in life with the person giving you advice, by all means, take it. But I guarantee the person telling you it's not going to work is not living out of an abundant bank account. The person that says that diet doesn't work is not living out of a happy body. And the person saying stay in that marriage is probably not in the happiest marriage. So choose wisely.
Exactly. Choose the energy and the alignment. And it's ultimately your own desires. And I couldn't agree more with you. I often talk about, we are disruptors, positive disruptors. We're here to create change. And damn it, we need that change more than ever right now. Mm-hmm. If there's one thing that the panini, we'll call it like that, has awakened into us, it's like that intuition of like, oh, there's something that kind of feels off here. So let me just kind of try to figure out what's right for me. But that created disruption. Like, I know it created disruption within my own family. Like, a lot of people are like, ooh, you're the problem. And but ultimately, it doesn't matter what people think, right? And you and I both live with that truth, and we live our life without really, my word for this year, I've said it multiple times on the podcast, is unbothered. I'm unbothered by what others are saying, because I'm so connected to my vision. I'm so clear on what I'm here to offer and how I want to contribute in the world. So I'm not going to let people slow me down. And I love, that we are in the same team that's all in with LifeWave now, that we have, that we are collaborating. And it just blows my mind, the quality of the people and the human beings in our team. And it's just like, okay, every single top leader that you look up to, regardless of the industry, somehow they have their hands into network marketing. And that was a big shift for me because, oh my gosh, I was so resistant to it. I did not want to do it. And that was only because I was letting the thoughts and the ideas of others define my own. And when I was like, but wait a minute, this person is at the top of this, and this person is involved in this, and but I love this person, and I love this woman, and I love what this man is creating. And that really got me curious. I was like, okay, there must be something good into this, and I need to have my hands in it. Yeah. And it's just been so abundant. And like, I know you've mentioned this, but network marketing has allowed you to go on stage, to travel the world. And this is the thing, it's beyond the product. And I agree with that. For me, it's allowed me to meet people like you. It's allowed me to meet individuals that are literally on the same mission of changing the world, people that are really forward thinking, that want to contribute. And it's allowed me also like to travel and meet, to be in rooms where you're like, is this really happening right now? And that's really how we should look at it. It's more than product. It's way more than money. You get so abundant on many levels and not financially, you know?
But that's why people make fun of it, because people can't, the concept of having a job or doing something for money and being happy and liking the people is so foreign. It's so foreign. That's why people, oh yeah, happy clappy. I'm like, why would you not want? What? Like, I always had the hardest time when I'm like, you're on sick leave from your job? Like, what? Tell me why that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it. And I always learned that this was a vehicle. These are vehicles to fund the dreams. I started my podcast because I created money inside of my network business to be able to help. The money in network marketing funded the dreams. That's what we're doing here too. We get to do more things. And it's not even about abundance. It's location independence. When my mother got sick and she had something instantly happen, I paid $4,000 to get a flight to fly home to Winnipeg and stayed there for 3 weeks.
And everything kept
done is every month I spend $1,000 every week. I spend $1,000 to take the train to Kingston, to get a hotel, to watch him play in his game at his first year rookie at his university. I couldn't do that if I had to ask a boss for time off on a Friday or didn't have the financials. I'm not missing those things for anything in my life. So call me cuckoo crazy to do the network marketing thing, but I love every moment of my life and I am there for everything. So I'll scream it from the rooftops and defend it. There's not a person that can show. I love coaching. I love doing high ticket sales, but none of it is residual and none of it is with a team. And I have to do a lot for it. Yeah. And so there's an aspect of all of it that works together.
That's it. That's why it's not about one more than the other. It's just clever in these days and age to just do all of it. And why not? And this is the thing. It doesn't have to feel like you got to put 40 hours a week into it. Like you could literally do 5, 10 hours a week. That would be amazing. And you would thrive in it. So food for thought, if ever you're listening and if ever you're noticing your body is like activated, if you have shivers, if your heartbeat is like, hey, there's something here, pay attention. We're going to put the link in the show notes. We are, Carol and I are in the same team. We're in the same meetings. It is a vibe there on its own. Like even if you just came to hang out, it's a vibe.
So true.
And we hosted the first summit in January. In fact, I think I'm going to put the link play of the summit in the show notes. If ever you're curious to learn more about LifeWave, our team Illuminate, if you want a vibe, I'm going to put the replay. This summit was wild. Like it really was pure fire. And it was so potent to see the quality of the humans on this call and to see the engagement. And so for those of you that are feeling really negative about the state of the world, or that are feeling really dramatic or lost or wondering like, where are we heading? Seriously, just plug into the goodness, because it's not my reality. I choose to put myself in rooms of people that see the same light as me. that remember their own light and want to contribute. And it's just such an honor to share that road with people like you, and just, it's so much fun. And like, why would you not want that is the question.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly. So we'll put the link in the show note. Carol, where can people find you? I know we could keep going,
Yes.
but I want to honor your time. Where can people go and binge all of you?
Yeah, my goodness. I think the most up to date is the Instagram. I am _Carol Elizabeth. My website, carolelizabeth.com, but I evolve and change so rapidly. It's probably out of date, but I have a podcast as well. Trust Your Magic. I have a book, Trust Your Magic. You can catch that anywhere, but Instagram would probably be the place you can see what I'm working on at the moment, where I get, another upgrade, another energy, another thing I launch. So yeah, just hang out wherever. Yeah.
We'll put all those beautiful links in the show notes. You are a magical unicorn, that is for sure. Thank you for spreading some of your magic over here on the podcast. Thank you for everybody who listened. I hope that this ignited you, because that's always the goal. And remember, the best time is right this second. No more crossing days. We are taking advantage of every single day we are given, living in the present and touching joy, like you've mentioned. I love that. Thank you, Carol, for your wisdom.
Thank you, Vanessa.
The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.